Hey there, it is Lauren Brooks with Let's Music Club, and I have a theory. Well, it's not really a theory, it's more like a prediction that honestly I would love for this prediction, idea, fan fiction, whatever, to gain some traction and become reality, because I don't think it's so far-fetched, but let me not bury the lead. I think that Tyler, the Creator, needs to be in the writing room of Clear Obscure Sandfall Interactive's next iteration, next video game. And I have several reasons why. And I have a little fan fiction on top of it. But before I get into all of that, let me go ahead and get business out of the way. I am Lauren Brooks. I'm the creator of Let's Music Club. It is a guided journal on the topic of music that is designed to help you conceptualize your thoughts on an album of your choice. In the journal, there's room for up to 6 albums, and each album, that you can choose whichever album you'd like, but it's broken down into 3 parts: active listening, researching, and then reviewing. Basically, it's a way to honor the art and the artist who creates it, to honor a body of work in its entirety, so whether it's an EP or an album, to really sit with the full concept rather than, I think it was Earl Sweatshirt who had an interview where he talked about like people creating a highlight reel. Like basically playlists are highlight reels. It takes, the best, by popular definition, the best song and throws it against other best songs rather than taking an entire concept as a whole and sitting with that art. Anyways, that's getting into it. But that is kind of like the purpose of the journal itself. And the idea is to use this to kind of gather your thoughts, and then get in community, whether it is an official Let's Music Club community or just doing it with your family or your friends or, strangers, but just having a music club, kind of like a book club, but for music. So that's this. It's my baby, but it is your canvas. So highly recommend that. But yeah, let's get into this because honestly, my thoughts and ideas really, have nothing to do with that really. So anyways, I'm just going to talk to y'all like you care and like you're here. So, yeah, so my brother, he told me about Expedition 33. It is a video game, which, my brother had me play like Mario Kart growing up, but I was never really good at it and never was into video games really, but he is. And, a few months ago, he said like, Lauren, you need to watch this video game. Like, I'm going to send you a YouTube. And it was like a 9-hour YouTube. And he's like, just watch it. It takes you through all the acts of the game. And, that's really it. I got about maybe 2 or 3 hours in. I think I finished Act 2. And then, life, I just never got back to it. But I ended up talking to him maybe like 2 weeks ago. And he kind of broke down the ending for me. Shout out to you, Matthew. He is super consistent in his podcast for the crew. So if you're into the real football, like where you kick a ball with your foot, and if you're into MLS, for the crew, like the number 4, the crew podcast is a phenomenal podcast. And that's speaking as somebody who does not watch soccer. But anyways, that's his main podcast, but he was also asked onto a different podcast where they talked about Expedition 33. I'll put the link below for the Expedition 33 conversation. But in reviewing that, I think it just reignited his love for that video game. And now, I think in like a week or two, we have the Game Awards coming up on December 11th, and Expedition 33 is up for a number of awards. So I really wanted to get my fan fiction, my, idea out before that, because I thought that there might be a chance that these people would all be in the same room, and how cool would that be for them to meet? So yeah, Expedition 33 and soccer as well. But Expedition 33 is a big passion of my brother's right now. A big passion of mine right now is Tyler, the Creator. Specifically Chromacopia. You see the merch in the back there. I thought that, I would listen to it and I would move on and I'd find another album or two to love and that sort of thing. And don't get me wrong, I have listened to some amazing music this past year. Unfortunately, they got snubbed for the Grammys. And Tyler, the Creator, he's just been on this crazy run, and like he just deserves all the recognition that he's getting. So obviously the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame just happened, and I was floored. I felt so seen and valued as a fan. It opened with Stevie Wonder, and I'm sure if I've talked to you in person, the thing is with Let's Music Club, I have a couple of stories that I tell, a couple of phrases that I use, a couple of taglines that I use. So it's very likely if we have had a chance to talk at the Let's Music Club vendor booth, you've probably heard or know that I started this idea with my family as a way to, although, thankfully none of us are like crazy, like insane pendulum swings. We are all different. We all think very differently. And especially me as the youngest in the family, it at times has left me feeling voiceless or unheard or that sort of thing. So Let's Music Club was an idea that I had where I was like, when it comes to music, you can be as passionate as you want to be, and everyone's still invited to Thanksgiving, right? So the first album that I ever did for the music club was Stevie Wonder, Songs in the Key of Life. It's my dad's favorite album. It's now my favorite album as well. And that was long before the journal existed. That was really just for my family. So we, all listened to the album, did some research, sat around the table, talked about it. Anyways, so when the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame opened with Stevie Wonder, I was done. Just, and then it just went on to be like, there's so many reasons that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame means so much to me. The fact that it's in Ohio and that's where I'm spending my winter. The fact that 21 Pilots is also from Ohio, and they were able to honor one of the award recipients as well. I think that they did honor the White Stripes, which I'm a fan of the White Stripes now because of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And, whoa, wait a second. I'm getting way off topic. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to do, I would love to do a whole nother segment specifically on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but truth be told, it takes so much energy for me to like get a full thought out on camera. And I don't know exactly what that is. I want to plan events. Like I love being in the room where great conversation is happening. But I don't want to, it's unnerving to me to have to be the one with the opinion all the time. My opinions are few and far between, and I like them to be heard when I have them. And I like to curate spaces for other voices to be heard more than anything. So anyways, may or may not do that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame one. Okay. Back to the topic at hand. Right. So, Expedition 33. Expedition 33 is this story about, it's like, you know, they're in this other world and there's this woman, the paintress, and she's painting these numbers on the side of a rock, and it seems as though the numbers go backwards. So it's like 99, 98, 97, 96, 95, da 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 da. And now they're at 33. And anytime that number is printed, the people in the village who are that age, they will like disappear. They'll like die. They'll turn into, it's called chroma, and it's basically flowers. And so they turn into chroma and just disappear into the abyss. And so in this village, the age of the village is getting younger and younger and younger. And so the village will have a couple of brave people go on an expedition to try to kill the paintress, to get to the paintress and kill her, so that their village can stop disappearing. So that's the gist of the game. But I'm going to skip ahead, and this is spoilers. But at the end, there's a lot of twists and turns, and you realize that the main character, Mael, so I have to break it up. Hold on. Let me use my hands. Okay. So I'm gonna say it in two different sections, right? So in one universe, is that the word I want to use? It's like Inception, right? So it's a lot going on. It's basically, think of it as Inception, a world within a world within a world within a world type of vibe. So in one world, there are the painters, and then there are the writers. And the painters, it's a painters guild, and they have the ability to paint on a canvas, and then they can go into the canvas. But when they go into the canvas, they're basically sitting there and they're deteriorating, even though it feels like they're in the painting for like a week or a month or a year or whatever. In real time, they're deteriorating. So I'm making this up, but you'd get what I'm saying. Like if they're in the painting and the painted version of them, it feels like it's a year, maybe on the outside it's a week, and they've deteriorated. So anyways, they're the painters. There's a family, and the mom, she is like the head of the Painters Guild. The dad loves her so much. And then they have 3 kids, a son and 2 daughters. Mael, I'm sorry, Alicia, Verso, and Kara? I can't remember her name. Let's call her Kara. So they're living their life, painting, whatever. And then, so that's the Painters Guild. And then there's the Writers Guild. And somebody from, or not somebody, but like the Writers Guild wants to kill Alicia. Turns out Alicia does not like to paint. She likes to write. And her brother, he is a musician. Now, the mom loves Verso, the brother, because, I mean, this is, my interpretation, but it's like all this classical music, the piano playing, that's beautiful and perfect to be, the ambiance of a painting, like beautiful, lovely, whatever. But the painters and the writers, they hate each other. And so she doesn't really respect Alicia's craft. She's like, why are you like going against us? But type of thing. Anyways, again, my interpretation. It doesn't really give much backstory, I don't think, about like why, but I have my theories. So so anyways, so the writers, they come and they try to kill Alicia. They tried arson, putting a room on fire or whatever. And Verso, he comes and saves her, but he ends up dying in the fire. She gets this big, horrible scar. And now the family is in mourning. They're grieving. So because he was a musician, he hasn't painted in forever since he was a little boy. And his mom ends up, going into his picture because she has the ability to do that. And so she is in his picture, right? Boom. That's one world. Inception into his picture now. She, the mom, is the paintress. So she is in there painting her life away. Because she just wants to feel her son, right? So she ends up painting a whole village of people. Once these people exist in the picture, they now are alive. Like, they have the ability to procreate, and their generations in, and she's like painted this world or whatever. So at first she was just going in, for a little bit, just to mourn a little bit and then come back. And then, she started living her life within that canvas. And so the dad's like, I have to go in and save my wife. So he goes in and he is trying to get the wife out of the painting. But in this new world, we don't really have that backstory yet. So we see him coming in as like a pseudo villain. Like, he's also like trying to, anyways. So let me just go into my fan fiction now, right? Okay. So I think that here's what I want. I want Tyler, the Creator, in the writer's room, and I want them to craft a character based off of themes within Tyler's likeness. Let's call that character Omar. Omar should be a part of the Writers Guild. Now, there's the Painters Guild and the Writers Guild, and I think that the Writers Guild should be super bigoted as a people. And their superpower is that when they write, they can go into the writings and their life is like prolonged. Because it's like, when you read a book, it's like expansive. But when you paint, it's like the opposite, right? Because we already know this within the game. When you go into a painting, you deteriorate. But I think if you're a writer, then your life should be prolonged, right? Okay. Anyways, so I think then that the dad should have once upon a time been in the Writers Guild, found love with the paintress, and severed ties with the Writers Guild to be with the paintress, to be in the Painters Guild. And there's even a song within Expedition 33 that talks about he's like 76 and he'd rather just live out his days with his wife and his family and like... Anyways, it's so good. And then, so in the Writers Guild, I think that he should have had a puppy love. The dad should have had a puppy love. No, not a puppy love. He should have had an arranged marriage. So one of the writers is very smitten over him, but, it's unrequited, right? It's unrequited love. They do end up getting engaged, but then he meets the paintress and then he decides to not sign the dotted lines with her and go ahead and go over to the Painters Guild and live out the rest of his days with the paintress. From there, I want the woman who he was going to be with to be so resentful of him and somehow she gets pregnant. I don't know if maybe they slept together once, if she marries somebody that she doesn't love, whatever the case may be. She gets pregnant. She has a son. The son is Omar, right? And he is kind of similar to Verso in the fact that his mom is obsessed with him, just loves him to no end. He is a musician too, but in the way that Alicia is like hated for her writing because she is very on the nose. She's never gotten trained in writing. It's just something that she does, and she writes what she sees, and it's super on the nose. If you listen to the music within Expedition 33, it's all in French, so you don't really know like what it's saying, but when you look up the lyrics, it is telling you the story. It's super, it is what it is. You know exactly what's going on in the story. There's no nuance. There's no layered meaning, none of that, right? So that's why her family doesn't like her, because they don't like that she's a writer and she is just so honest. Like, she can't hide it. It just is what it is. Now, Omar, he is in the Writers Guild, been around writers his whole life, but I want to pull in themes of like Anansi the Spider, right? I want him to be more crafty and more understanding of how to camouflage, how to be a chameleon, how to adapt, that sort of thing. And he sees very early on how bigoted his guild is, right? And so he and so some of the things, some of the hierarchies of things going on with the writers, I think that the writers should just, you know, obviously be obsessed with themselves because they're writers. Most of them are novelists, that sort of thing, but have super high regard for poets because they're like, oh, you're so clear, like we're clear, and you know, the painters, they're obscure, they're so obscure, and you know, so, you know, oppressed by their nuances and all of that, like they are others, and we know how to live a long and luxurious life because we're writers. But they have a super high regard for poets because they're like, you just make it so clear, and you condense it down in a beautiful way, and oh, we just love it. And so he realizes this kind of thing about the writers, right? So he's kind of like this super multi-talent, but he doesn't really want to play his cards. Oh, yeah. So he doesn't want to play his cards. And so he goes and he's like in his room doing his own thing. Oh, and what his family doesn't know is that he's a painter as well. He loves painting and he's good at it too. But while he's in his room and everything, and then his mom will be like, what are you writing? What are you doing? And so he will like hurry up and just jot down like a line or two. And his mom eats it up. She's like, oh my gosh, you're not just a writer, you're a poet. Oh my goodness, you know how to boil it down to the most clear and like just absolutely transparent form. You are amazing. And little does his mom know, he's giving like he's just whatever it is. He's just do. Here, mom, this is what I wrote, because his real time is put into the music, is put into the writing, all that kind of, or is put into the music and the painting. So anyways, his mom loves it. She just thinks he's amazing, all that kind of stuff. But from there, he ends up becoming friends with another musician. And who is that musician? It's Verso from the Painters Guild. And then they end up becoming super cool, like, and it's one of those like bromance sort of relationship that's, you know, up to interpretation what that relationship truly is rooted in, but it's definitely rooted in a love for music. hands down, regardless of anything else. And then as far as the Painters Guild, going to Verso's family, turns out Verso is really the only person who has ever really seen Alicia for who she is, because Alicia's parents, they think that what she likes to do is, you know, really messing up the family dynamic. Like, why are you not painting? Like, why are you writing? Like, it's just not appealing to us. So then she tries to bring it to the writers, and the writers will not pour into her because she's a painter. And so then she's completely stunted in her growth, in her, you know, self-worth, in any of that. The only person who ever really loves and sees her is her brother. So he lets her tag along. So she, you know, is with Verso and Omar, and they, you know, they're doing their music, and then she's like, you know, practicing her writing, and it's very like clear and, you know, transparent, because she doesn't know how to write nuance. She doesn't know how to, you know, write novels, anything like that, because she hasn't been trained to, and she's never really seen it. But it's so crazy because Omar picks up on that. He's like, you are what my parents think I am. You actually have this pure writing to you. This is what I see in the world, and this is what it is, and that's just it. I'm not going to clean it up. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to layer the meaning. I'm not going to do any of that. This is writing in its truest form. This is my interpretation of life. That's kind of what she brings to the table, and he sees that and he loves that about her. But she's also, you know, the kid sister, kind of like the tag along, whatever. So the three of them, they start to, you know, just melt into each other. Like, we're doing music this day, we're doing writing this day, we're doing painting this day. They're really sharing in each other's crafts and becoming the best version of all of these different creative outlets, behind their families' backs, because their family just doesn't get it and they are blinded by bigotry. But one day, Omar is in his room. Oh, okay, yeah. So Omar is in his room, and one of the days, Verso and Alicia are teaching him how to jump into a picture. And so he's trying to do that at home in his room. And he's in the picture, and he's just like having an amazing time, and he just can't believe it. And he's just like, he's in there for too long. And his mom comes in the room, and she sees him just sitting there like this. He's not deteriorating yet or anything. He's not in there for a crazy amount of time, but he's just sitting there like this. And she knows that he is in a painting. And so, you know, when he gets out, the family is raging. They're so livid. And that is the, that I want that to be like the event that happened that made the writers go commit arson against the painters. And that be like the reason that Verso ends up dying, right? So boom, boom, boom. Verso's dead. Alicia's scarred. Everybody in the Painters Guild is completely depressed, right? Everybody's dealing with shame, with grief in their own ways, which that's kind of the point of Expedition 33 in real life. Like, it's just this display of grief in all of its different forms and the ways that people grapple with grief. But yes, so they're in their grief, and so Kara, she wants to attack. She's ready to go fight. She's like, let's get these writers. Alicia, she's completely depressed. The mom, she's checked out. She's in her son's painting, living an alternative life, just completely devoid of everything. The dad, he is trying to save his family. He's doing everything he can to get his wife out of the picture, to basically tell everybody, like, no, we must grieve together and get through it. And the whole game ends with them at the gravesite, and the sister, like, walks away. Almost like she's, again, ready to attack. But here's what I want the plan to really be, right? I want the sister is like she's ready to attack, point blank, period. But after Verso dies and Alicia's in her grief, Alicia says, like, well, you know, me and Verso, we used to go to this, you know, go hang out with this guy and, you know, blah, blah, blah. So she ends up doing a meetup with Kara, Alicia, and Omar, and they devise this elaborate plan. Because Alicia is so heartbroken, right? She realizes that she needs to, like, get her mom out of the game and that sort of thing. But she, like, also isn't, like, she has no motivation to, because her mom hates her. Like, she's so bitter towards her, and, like, yeah. And then Kara comes up with a plan to send Alicia into the game as a baby. That way nobody suspects that it's her, and it'll also give her a chance to kind of, like, you know, live without her grief for a little bit, and all of that. But oh, and then I want Omar to be like, I can help you as well. Like, I do know the ins and outs of writing, and if you hop into a book, your life can be prolonged. So if you go into the painting and some of your life is taken, I can balance it out and get you more life as your life is being taken. So, you know, we can do an even exchange, but in order for that to work, we're going to need a signal. So I'm going to have to hop into the painting to, you know, make sure that you don't get sucked into the painting and stay in there. Which in Expedition 33, there are these mimes that, like, nobody knows how they got there, why they got there, anything like that. And I want that to be Omar telling, like, reminding her, hey, it's time to get out of the painting. Like, you have to get out of the painting. And the reason that it's a mime is because he feels so silenced. Or maybe she feels so silent. One of the two of them, they both feel so silenced within their communities, where they're not able to express the fullness of who they are. And so that's why he's decided to use the imagery of mimes. And also because the fear is that, oh my gosh, Alicia, she's going to get into this painting and she's going to be like her mom and want to live out her days in the painting, deteriorating rather than dealing with her guilt and that sort of thing. And so the mimes are also to remind her, like, hey, Omar is on the outside grieving and he needs you to help him through this process. So, like, you can't get lost in your fairy tale. You have to get out, and, you know, there is going to be support for you. Like, don't think, oh my gosh, I have to stay in this painting now because there's nothing for me on the outside, because there is something for her. And then I don't know what it looks like. Kind of the same thing where it's like, we don't really know if this is like a what is it called? Philadelphia philo dough. We don't know if it's a brotherly love or if it's a romantic love, but there is an undeniable love that Omar has for Alicia, and vice versa. And I don't know. I mean, I think that's like the bulk of where I'm at with it. Oh, I said all this to say there are reasons that this could happen because, first of all, Tyler, the creator, is in Fortnite. He's familiar with being involved in video games. But if you guys notice in his advertisement for being in Fortnite, it's like some receipts and then a couple of other things. But the receipt there's receipts behind it. The first one was Fortnite and it had like 4 different songs written on it. I think the one behind that should be a Sandfall video game. And if he's just doing a couple of songs, I definitely think that he should do Darling I, and that could be like a montage of the dad and mom of the Painters Guild like falling in love and him like choosing her rather than signing the dotted lines of the arranged marriage over in the Writers Guild. And it just goes so perfectly. And then 2, what was another song? Mother, obviously. Yeah, I think that could be a cool one. And then, I don't know, the other 2, I did write them down. I have to look them up again. But yeah, the receipts, I feel like that's a huge indicator of why this should happen. Number 2, the way that Sandfall was formed, they were all a part of this like large video game company, and then they could not do their creative pursuits, so they left the company and created this new one. And I just think that what am I trying to say there? Tyler, the creator, has always been on this journey of self-actualization. And in the past year, I think that he has been hyper-focused on it, where he is executing at such a high level, but also honing his target audience and mastering his why and that sort of thing. And so I think that the partnership just makes a whole lot of sense when you're kind of de-assimilating from a system that was never meant for you. So I think that that's why that would work. Also, he has Le Flair. It's a French company. This is a French game. It just adds up. And then 2, I'm like looking at the Sandfall team, and there is a guy whose favorite game is Fortnite. And he looks cool. The technical artist. So, you know, if y'all are in the room at the Game Awards on December 11th, maybe make that connection. Then, is there any other things? I think that I did have another reason or 2. We got the receipts from the Fortnite campaign. We have his brand. I think this, in a global world, we're becoming this global world, right? I just think that, you know, a lot of, what am I trying to say here? I feel like this is our time. Our time. Is it our time? Yeah. I feel like it's Black people's time to put up the bat signal. Especially creatives, especially artists, especially Black women, especially, yeah, I think a lot of the themes that I kind of discussed in the fan fiction are the reality that so many people are living in. And I don't know if this is too unveiled, but like, it's true. Like, I think that a lot of artists and creatives are dealing with a similar situation that Sandfall Interactive has dealt with, in the fact of whether it's a kicked out, whether it's understanding the necessity to leave, whatever the case may be. I think that, we hear about, and, I'm living proof of the fact that so many Black people have lost their livelihoods due to DEI. And I think that the easiest person to target in that are creatives, because people don't value beauty the way that creatives value beauty. I did this exercise where I really did try to figure out what my values are. And I don't mean values as in, God, family, friends, that sort of thing. When I say your value, I mean the thing that personally makes you tick. That if you did not have it in your life, you wouldn't be okay, that you wouldn't be optimal, that you wouldn't be fulfilled, right? And so for some people, that is exercise. For some people, it is fashion. For some people, it's cars. And when I did that exercise for myself, I found that it is beauty for me. And that can be beauty of all kinds, whether it is going on a walk and looking at nature, whether it's a beautiful sunset or sunrise, or seeing the aurora borealis, or an eclipse, or, whatever is going on in nature, whether it is good makeup, or, nice fashion, or a beautiful watch, or, beauty is a number one value for me, is what I'm trying to say. And especially in a capitalistic society, that is so easy to frown upon. And it's so easy to reserve that for excellence, where you say, well, we don't need your form of creativity because we have this. And I just think that's such a fallacy. I think that creatives are needed on every single level, that beauty is needed on every single level, and that it should be honored on every single level. And now I am feeling a little righteous indignation, so I'm going to stop myself, because I just learned about how when you think you're all right and the other thing is all wrong, that's where you can really forget your focus. So let me reel that in. But yeah, I think it would be really cool to be able to tell a story on that level with those characters. Now, here's the thing. I would love some other people to be in the room as well, right? I would love, I would love for Malcolm Gladwell to write a book about the experience. I want him to talk to Sandfall, get their full story, talk to Tyler, the Creator, get his story, talk to Odd Future, talk to Donald Glover, talk to Jamie Foxx. We're talking about multi-talents here, right? I would like him to talk to Ta-Nehisi Coates. I'd like him to talk to, I would love for, some local, like, Atlanta art collectives to be involved in some of the artistry of the video game as well. Anyways, I'd like an actual book to be compiled, and I think that Malcolm Gladwell is the perfect author for that, because he does compile stories so beautifully. And the topic to be like clair obscur, like to be this dichotomy of like what is obtuse and what is nuanced, and how the American perspective can be so freaking obtuse. Yeah, I think that would be cool. I think it would be amazing for a Ta-Nehisi Coates to write a book about this, especially given this idea of like the painters, you know, suck you in, but then the writers like prolong your life. So like just to give it like a full novel of story. And then that could be, you know, adapted. That could be a part of the adaptation into the second movie, because I think the Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is already going to be a movie. So like this could, you know, add to the second movie. Or maybe it could all be rolled into one, because I don't think they've like done anything with the movie just as of yet. And then what else? I would love, like I said, I would love some local Atlanta artists to be seen in it. We already have shoot, I'm not even going to start naming names, but it would be really cool to do that. Yeah. Yeah. That is my 2 cents. Ooh, and then like LaFleur should like, some of their designs should be in the game, and then they should be like available to sell like as merch, but like high quality merch. And there should be like a line for that. Really, we're just trying to, you know, oh my gosh. And then I would love for one of the voice actors. Why am I forgetting his name right now? Tony Weaver. Duh, Tony Weaver. I love that guy. Tony Weaver Jr. He should do some voice acting in it. And he should be allowed in the writer's room too. And can I think of anybody else? I don't know. But that is what I think should happen in the next Clair Obscur video game. We could do a little bit of the Tyler the Creator emoting when he runs, and have that be like Omar's run as he like, you know, I don't know when he's running. I don't know when he would run or anything, but I think that would be really cool. Okay, so the Game Awards are on December 11th. The Grammys are, I think, like February the 2nd, something like that. I don't know what y'all think. I think it could be cool. I think it could be really cool. But I hope that I said everything I needed to say with it. What's the conclusion? How should this end, right? I don't know. Up to the writers, but I think that should be the premise of it all. I don't know. But all right. Bye. Let's Music Club. Guided journal on the topic of music, designed to help you conceptualize an album of your choice. If you are listening to this in 2025, then I bet you this journal is on sale. So pick up your journal today, and guess what? Even if it's not on sale, amazing. You get to support a young creative at full price. How amazing is that? We both win, and the packaging is, it's really good. I'm very proud of myself and what I've created, and I think it would be awesome for you to get it and maybe join a Let's Music Club group. Oh, okay. And then wouldn't that be amazing if like part of the profits for the video game or the book or the, you know, whatever arms happen for this, wouldn't that be amazing if a part of the profits went to a creative fund to ensure that creatives in America are being taken care of? I don't know. I just think that would be amazing. And I just want to thank you for taking the time to hear me out, you know, in creating this room. I just wanted it to be big enough for my voice to be in it. And I would love your voice to be in the room as well, especially if your voice is being used to honor the art, to honor the artist, to honor yourself as the aesthete. Let's Music Club. Bye.